in the mood for chewy candy. Jennifer Grey is a redhead. Jennifer Grey is a redhead. So maybe she's not the star of Dirty Dancing. Jennifer Grey is a redhead. Jennifer Grey is a redhead. So maybe she's not the star of Dirty Dancing. It kind of enforces that Harry is her DNA father. Harry says he copied the gestures and everything of William Donovan. He may have tried to pass himself off as William Donovan. Donna Jean Bachman-Landsberg says she didn't want anyone to know that Jennifer Grey was a redhead. Donna Jean Bachman-Landsberg says Jennifer's red hair is natural. Right. And so she's a lawyer. Anne says she's a lawyer. Anne says one side of her head is very enlarged. And it is her left side. Mm-hmm. Monkey Dude told me the right side of her face was enlarged. Her eye, over her eye and everything from cancer. But she was I saw a picture of the left side of her head. Mm-hmm. Margaret McIntyre says, I used to be tortured in her garage. Something to do with ashes. I think our address on Lake was 23211, and Margaret Engler's house was two down from us to the east. A one-story house. With a garage with an incinerator in it. Mm-hmm. I don't remember ever having incinerators in any of our houses in Bay Village. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can't remember. I was told it was to get rid of garbage. You bring your garbage. It may have been common at that time. Probably caused a lot of air pollution. Mm-hmm. I guess it just... Maybe they're mutants, like in Total Recall, a mutant that lives in the guy's chest. An enlarged left side of the head might mean a depleted right side of the head, depleted right side of the brain. Would you like me to say that out loud, Harry? My trusted guide? Colin Powell says the Pentagon had lawyers arguing with each other. We call it like moot court. No? Mm. Mm-hmm. No, alright. I think Diane told me. Preparing for it. That's what they did. They argued with each other. They debated with each other. They cross-examined witnesses, maybe. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. They were preparing for something, some kind of forum. Some kind of... They're not gonna let me see anymore. Mm-hmm. 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 Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Anne may have been preparing to prosecute me in court. Something about being a sinner. Kurt Russell says he trained to not lose 1 point, not one hair of a point. Kurt Russell says he used to study surveillance of me, which is pretty much 24/7, wherever, whenever I lived. And he made interpretations about my body language, my gestures, and he would assign immoral things to my body language and my gestures and my facial expressions and attack me for it. They were trying to prove to the world that what the universe recognizes as the divine wisdom, the Holy Spirit of God, wisdom, the Pistis Sophia, is an immoral, low character. They were going to try to prove it to the American people. So they were going to have me on the stand. She was going to prosecute me as a witness to my life. Natalie Craw admits to programming Anne to forget the reality of our relationship or our interactions within the household and to create new ones. There are things I've remembered that Anne says she has no recollection of. Apparently, the person she was arguing with was the public defender. I had a public defender, but no witnesses in my favor. God says they plan to do the same with him in court, in the same court. Prosecuting us together. As considering ourselves God and the Holy Spirit of God. But the public defenders were going to be part of the Pentagon program where they had prosecutors and defenders in moot court. Instead, they made the mistake of having us diagnosed with mental illness, so when the time was right, we were able to collect Social Security disability. And that gave us each an adequate income. And then Richard Hanning Jr. conveniently died. So I not only qualified for Social Security disability based on my past income, but I got a survivor's benefit. I still get it. They're trying to make this make sense in retrospect. They hadn't decided how they were going to air it or when. They had their bodies and the bodies of the United States military ready to capture us, torture us, kill us, nuke us if necessary. But the prosecutors and fake public defenders have been caught up in trying to make sure I don't dye my hair blonde, that I don't apply my makeup in any attractive way. They gave me a lot of problems when I had my nails done today with my adequate income from being mentally ill. Instead of the Holy Spirit of God, wisdom, the Bride of Christ, and the Pistis Sophia. Anne says she does a mind meld with Natalie Croft to get the things to say to me and to God. Like a Vulcan mind meld. Anne says she's a Borg, but she's only Borged with Natalie Croft. Natalie Croft says I ought to consider whether it was true or not that Anne died. Wherever the viewing went. You know. When I sent a pot of a variety of plants from the flower shop that's been there as long as I've lived in town, which is 20 years, on 2nd Street, East 2nd, between Maine and Portland, on the south side of the street. There was a funeral home to send the flowers to, and they told me how it worked is they would have a display, and then they would send a comparable display through another florist that was local to Tampa. I just hope they sent something as nice as what I saw. Hmm. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Mary must be the one who told me Ann died. I didn't talk to anybody else about it. I knew everything about Anne Coran, Ellsworth, 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 trying to get $1,000,000 out of Time Warner. Because she worked as the head of subscription department and had to do with Publishers Clearinghouse and all the false promises they made in mailers to people who didn't know they were false promises. And some of them would travel to Tampa to collect their prizes in person. And Anne was their point man. She sued Time Warner because her job was difficult. And people would get angry at her. So she sent a whole bunch of documents and emails to her husband Chris at their private home. Quit her job and sued. She lost the lawsuit, and the judge ordered that Chris had to return all the documents and emails from his personal computer to Time Warner. Oh, this one. Well, I learned about it online. I just did a search on Anne Coran, and there was all this shit. I think it made national news and some segments of like the morning shows or something. But she was making 40 grand a year. And she used to make a point of calling me from her car phone on her way to the nail salon. Back when car phones weren't common. Oh. Hmm. Anna's still trying to be what Donna and Harry want. Just that they're sculpting her differently. They haven't settled on anything. But they find a release of their own frustrations by torturing her. And then she insults me. I never harmed her. Like good sisters, we never argued. She had me join her in a radio vote contest to make the Chicago song Make Me Smile #1. We had a lot of fun that day. And Make Me Smile won. Anne admits that she's been trying to please Donna ever since she started giving Donna consent to torture her. Satanists use all kind of manipulative tricks to get you to consent to torture when you're like 4 and under. You know. We won't feed you. Go ahead, consent to torture. Anne says she doesn't remember much past 5 minutes ago. It's possible John Houseman from the movie Paper Chase coached the moot court scenarios. I think it's very mild. I'm going to stop recording and name this one Anne Ellsworth Ellsworth Ellsworth.